This is Jim Graham. Well, hello, everybody. This is Jim Graham, and I'm so excited to have you all on this webinar. This is going to be really a treat for you all. I have been learning so much from Doug Crowe and his strategies on how to get seen by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of websites worldwide that are news, authority news sites, and getting traffic to come your way. So without further ado, Doug, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. Thank you.
Great. Doug, why don't you go ahead and take it away? I mean, this is your show. Tell me, I mean, this is incredible stuff. So guys, stand by and you're going to start getting it.
All right. Yeah, we're going to talk about getting, not taking months or weeks or even days, but within 48 hours, if possible, over 1,000 targeted hits to your website and other online assets. And the most important thing, creating a hungry crowd of buyers for you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to teach you by showing you how authentic experts, and that's in italics, authentic experts, who don't necessarily do the whole blogging, Facebook thing, can sell and leverage their brand by using the media and other recognized national and international connections. So a brief intro on me. My name is Doug Crowe. I'm a business owner and a former host, radio host for ABC. I'm the founder of Author Your Brand, and I'm a journalist or a reporter with Newswire. And what I do is I work with professionals, other entrepreneurs, to help them eliminate the myths and the overwhelm of becoming a recognized expert. And as far as credentials go, it's important to know that there's a lot of people talk about doing stuff in the press, but it's important to know that it's best if it's done by an actual person who's in the press. So I have a press pass. I do actual news stories, and there's a big differentiator, which we'll get into in a minute, and how that relates to you. I'm a speaker. I'm a private pilot. And my journalism background comes from being a radio host. There I'm interviewed by others as a guest as well as a host. I interviewed luminaries such as Laura Langmeyer, Robert Kiyosaki, his wife Kim Kiyosaki. And I did that through a couple of radio stations back on WIND, and then I moved over to WLS, which is the largest talk radio station in Chicago, for a number of years. And they're owned by ABC. And after that stint was over, I decided to continue, and I'll show you why that's important, but I continue to work with Newswire. So here's the big promise. Here's what I want to share with you guys. I want you to stick around, because at the end of this presentation, I'm going to be looking for some people to be case studies on a CNN report that I'm working on for distribution later this month. There's no promise that you'll be in the CNN story, but I need to interview some people for that. And they need to be entrepreneurs. So I'm sure I got some entrepreneurs on the webinar. Is that right? Raise your hands. You see the little box there where you can raise your hands. Raise your hands if you're an entrepreneur, and you might have an interest of being on CNN. Would that help your credibility or your credentials at all? Yes, it would. So before we talk about the news and media and getting in there, let's talk about what you're doing now. What are you doing right now to build your business? Most people start with, hey, I'm going to build a website. And they're going to spend some money. You spend, $1,000, $2,000, even $5,000 building your online presence. That's a good place to start. You got to have a website nowadays. You can't really be in business without one. And of course, if you're doing anything high profile or working with other businesses, a B2B thing, you should probably be on LinkedIn as well. So how are you leveraging LinkedIn? Are you spending some money by having a professionally written, edited position? Are you posting articles and blog posts there? Are you joining groups and commenting? Are you putting in that time and energy and effort into your LinkedIn profile? Or maybe YouTube. Maybe you've taken some YouTube courses and realized that video is very popular nowadays, and you should probably have a high profile, or at least a professional looking YouTube channel, and post videos there. And are you making those videos compelling? Are there links in there to bring them back to your website? A lot more work and a lot more time and energy should be invested in YouTube, right? Or maybe you're just blogging. So yeah, I'm going to put up my blog, spend a few bucks on that, and consistently blogging once a week, twice a week, 5 times a week to build your content and your relationships with your audience. Or a lot of us I know are on Facebook. And I know Jim's a very, very popular and professional person with building Facebook pages. And then, of course, building the engagement on those pages is what brings in traffic, audience. I don't know if it brings in buyers yet. It depends on how it's done, right? You've got to have consistent effort, good content, and a sales funnel to make that all work. Or maybe you're just focusing on the SEO of all those properties. Maybe you're going to work on making sure that your content, whether it be a blog post or your website, ranks high in the search engines. And you spend thousands of dollars with someone to help you get ranked. Unfortunately, everyone's doing that. You know, it's impossible for more than 20 people to be on page one on any keyword, right? We're all vying for page one, and there's some very, very influential people who are doing that very well, and it makes it very difficult. Most entrepreneurs can never hope to get on a page one for a highly ranked or highly competitive keyword. And we're going to talk to you about how you can shortcut that whole system tonight by using the news to do that. Or perhaps you've been told, like I have a lot of my clients who I said, hey, you need to be an author. Authors have credibility. They have positioning. They're recognized as experts in their field. And to do a book well, a lot of people spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 and spend up to a whole year building a very compelling, interesting book, making it a bestseller on Amazon, and say, hey, here I am, world. I'm a published author. I'm a good author, and I've got shareable, important content to share with the world, with your audience. So you can, I'm sure a lot of us have done some or maybe even all of this stuff. We spent thousands of dollars building our brand, thousands of hours trying to get noticed out there. So the question I have for you after spending all this time and energy is, how much are you really making doing that? Okay, I mean, listen, this is very overwhelming. After you've built all that stuff, you've built those properties, whether it be YouTube, the book, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. After you build it, then what happens? You know, there's a famous movie, Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner, and that little voice says, you know, if you build it, they will come. Well, for most of us that have built all this stuff, after we launch it all and spend all this time and money, you know, I'm sorry, but that was a movie. That's not reality. You just build a bunch of stuff and build good content. It doesn't automatically put you at the top of the search engine. It doesn't mean that people come notice you. There are other people that are getting noticed, that are getting all that traffic, right? And the way to get noticed, most people, well, they say, well, I got to do advertising. Now, advertising is a very dicey topic. Advertising in and of itself, in my opinion, it's annoying, right? Someone's reading something, they're going online to get information, content, solutions, and then your annoying ad gets put in the way to interrupt them. 99% of advertising is interrupting. It's interruption marketing, right? And sometimes if you're interrupting somebody, you're trying to basically distract them or confuse them from what they're looking for and draw them over to what you're trying to say. And that takes a lot of money. It's a very, very expensive thing to do advertising. And there's nobody in the world that will think that you can do that very cheaply and do it well and do it professionally. You can't be an inexpensive advertiser, do it well, and be positioned properly. So advertising, it's all those things. A lot of people have done that, and it's quite, there's a lot of success stories out there, but there's an equal amount of horror stories when it comes to people experimenting with marketing, because every single marketing exercise is basically an experiment. Here's an article from Business Insider about a very successful guy who basically went through $600,000 in Facebook ads and got nothing for it. Now, this was a very smart man. He had a large business, large network. He had spent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in other advertising venues. He decided to go over to Facebook to get some of this stuff done, and boom, he blew it. It didn't work out well at all. So it's very easy to waste money in advertising. It's very easy and goes very, very quickly. And equally disturbing in terms of, you know, wasting money is your time. How much time are we wasting on social media, specifically Facebook, trying to post and share and get noticed? Time Magazine has a really good tool that if you want, you know, just go Google Time Facebook waste. I'm not sure what the actual T word is there, but you can Google that term, and they've got an actual calculator to show how much time people are wasting on Facebook. And even in some of our famous analytic partners, there's a very big website called Kissmetrics, and they talk about, and they've measured how people interact with social media. Now listen, folks, the term social media is critical, all right? It's called social media. How many of you have paid for or are really focused on getting engagement with your fans? Have you maybe paid money for likes or shares or done Facebook ads? Or like, hey, you know, people on social media, according to Kissmetrics, when they're on there, they're socializing. They're not really in a buyer's mood. You're going to have to really turn their heads around to get them to buy. I'm sure Jim would back this up on his experience, but most likes, most fans aren't really the buyers. It's good to get started there and to build some notoriety, but quite frankly, fans are not buyers on social media. And then, of course, this works. This challenge is not new. It's not only for small and medium-sized businesses. According to Accenture, companies that have CMOs, anybody know what a CMO is? A CMO is a chief marketing officer. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a 1 to 10 person shop, you're probably the chief marketing officer, CEO, and chief cook and bottle washer. But even large firms that have dedicated staff and dedicated marketing departments, 1 out of 5 have CMOs think they're doing a poor job of their marketing spend. So even $1 million brands aren't marketing confidently. It's very, very dangerous territory. The lesson in all this is that after you build it, it's about the traffic, guys. After you build those properties, you've got to get traffic, and it has to be targeted to you, targeted to your message. So ask yourself these questions. If you want to create consistent content, which brings you, more leads and more sales, how do you do that? How do you engage with people, in an authentic manner to create relationships faster? And how do you build trust to accelerate the sales process to make more money faster? These are really important questions to ask yourself, and we'll take a little bit deeper dive on how the media can do that for you. Now, there's a study done by the Omni Group that said the typical marketer, on average, spends about 6 hours per day on social media, email, fulfillment, other non-sales activities. And on average, some people spend more, some people spend less on marketing plans and advertising, 25 grand. Yet at the end of the day, on average, the average entrepreneur, typical marketer, they earn less than minimum wage doing all this. They're really struggling, and they're, trying hard and doing the right things, doing what they're taught, what they're trained to do. But at the end of the day, if you're not making 6 figures through all this, they're doing something wrong. So if you spend time on social media, if you spend some money on marketing plans, ask yourself, is that you? Is that a serious challenge for you? Because there's a big difference between being busy and being productive. According to another study here, 1/3 of CEOs and owners want to spend less time on social media. They're getting burned out by putting all this time in there. Average one spends 1 to 5 hours per week. I think most of us spend more than that. They're just lying. So here's the bottom line in all this stuff. All right, you might be blogging, social media, podcasting, working on that engagement, blah blah blah. You've got competition, guys. Your competition is being published and recognized. Meanwhile, your knowledge is relatively trapped and unknown. So your positioning is it's insignificant and lost. Here's a quick story for you. If there's 2 dentists, let's call one Bob and one Jim. Bob is a decent dentist, but he's got a great marketing department, right? He's busy all the time. His business is just going very, very well. Jim, on the other hand, is a wonderful dentist, top of his fields, won awards, but doesn't really do a whole lot of marketing. He just goes on his reputation, and he's not as busy as Bob. Between these 2 guys, Jim makes twice as much as Bob, although he's the better dentist. So the lesson on that, and this is true in any business, that it's okay to be a professional. It's important. You got to do a good job. But if you don't have a marketing machine and a strategy and specific actionable tactics that work to back you up and to get it out there, you can be the best marketer, the best professional in your industry. If you don't have a marketing process that works, you're not going to beat your competition. There's somebody out there who's getting the recognition, who's making more money than you, and they may not be as smart as you. They may not be as experienced as you. So, it's sad, but it's the way business is. The results are very, very clear on this, that, you want to make more money doing what you already do. I'm not going to tell you to stop blogging, or I'm not going to tell you to stop doing social media engagement on advertising even. That's already important to do. But how do you make what you're doing right now worth more? So let's take a lesson from a couple groups of people here. This will really help you position this thing, and we'll get to the details on how to be in the media. There's a thing I call media darlings, all right? They may not be darlings to you or me, but they're people that you've heard of. You've heard of perhaps Kim Kardashian or Kanye West or even Justin Bieber. They are media darlings. They're people that get a lot of media attention. They may not be the most professional folks out there. They may not be people that you know, like, and trust, but they're all over the news. They don't pay for that. People just want to hear about them for some reason. There's another set. There's a thing called marketing mavens, all right? People you also know and heard about, people like Donald Trump or even Bill Clinton or Richard Branson. These are marketing mavens, and they may not even be in business. And, in Clinton's case, it's a business, but it's, in the political area. But these guys are also in the news. They're also talked about by other people. When they do a post on LinkedIn or when they're mentioned, other people start talking about it right away. So what do they get from that? They get instant targeted traffic. Now, this is appropriate for all of us to learn from. Instant targeted traffic in this world, what I'm talking about, what we're going to talk tonight about being in the media, is very, very simple, because what we can talk to you about and help you learn and actually execute is being in the news. And I'll give you a couple quick example. Let's suppose that we get you 1,000 plus targeted hits in the next 48 hours. And you've got a product, right? And let's say out of those 1,000 hits, you should have a page or landing page that goes to convert, all right? Out of 1,000 targeted hits, 100 people say, yes, this is good. One out of 10 go, yeah, that's cool, let's get that. It's a $97 product. So 1,000 targeted hits would earn you, a little bit under $10,000 in revenue, $9,700 in revenue. So what would you spend to make $10,000? If you had a converting landing page and you get 1,000 targeted hits, would you spend $1 to get $9,700? Of course. Would you spend $100 instantly? Would you spend $1,000? Of course. Would you spend $5,000 to make $10,000? Yes, all day long. Would you spend $7,000 to make $10,000? Of course, all day long. Instant targeted traffic is what you need. All those properties, all those assets are important, but without the traffic, it's meaningless. You are definitely lost in a sea, an ocean of other websites. So I'm going to talk to you about not doing advertising. I'm not going to talk to you about organic search, SEO, any of that stuff. I'm going to talk to you about how I get targeted traffic. And I beat everybody else online, hands down, day in and day out. Here's how I do it. Number one, I network with journalists, reporters, right? I write quality articles that other news sites want to reproduce. And then I continue publishing articles that are consistently picked up by hundreds to thousands of news sites. I'll give you an example how I didn't invent this, right? It's not my invention, but I stumbled upon it a few years ago, and here's how it worked. I was in the real estate industry. I used to teach real estate investing, and I was spending $5,000 a month with a PR agency. And they said, we're going to put you in the news, Doug, and it's cost you $5,000 a month, and it's going to take some time, so you got to just be patient with it. First month, nothing happened. Second month, nothing happened. Third month, I'm $15,000 in. I'm like, oh man, when's something going to happen here? And this guy was pitching the media on getting me in the media. Finally, he said, I got an interview for you, scheduled with the Seattle Times. You'll talk to this reporter. They're doing a real estate article, and they want your opinion on it. And I said, fine, what's the topic? And they gave me the topic. I said, I have an opinion. The reporter called up, spent 5 minutes with me on the phone. She said, thank you very much. We'll let you know when the article's published. No guarantees I'll be in the article, none whatsoever. About 2 weeks later, they said, yep, you're in the article. Here's the clipping report. They send you a report of where it showed up. This article in Seattle Times was about a quarter page about the real estate industry. And it was also shared, or we call it syndicated, but it was shared with Yahoo Finance and MSNBC. And out of this one article, I had 2 sentences. I don't remember what the sentences were, but I had an opinion about something. I said, blah, blah, blah. And they said, Doug Crowe, according to Doug Crowe, CEO of Springboard Group, he says this. No link, no phone number, no landing page, right? Just my name, my company, and my opinion about the industry. That's really critical. My opinion about another topic, okay? What happened? I got 6 phone calls. People tracked me down because they had to go look me up to find out who is this guy. His opinion made sense to me. They tracked me down. I got 6 phone calls and 5 clients out of it. Those 5 clients turned into $32,500 in consulting. So even though the first few months of being in this PR agency, I was spending $5,000 a month, and okay, it was 15 grand. I was getting a little bit nervous about my spend. I doubled my investment in 2 weeks. technically it was 3 months, but the actual result of the action to the result took 2 weeks, and I doubled my investment. The media works, right? So here's what all this means to you. When you have authority backlinks, when you're in the news, what happens is your websites get ranked higher, because now instead of competing with 1,000 other websites for some low traffic, you're going to be ranked higher because you're in the news. Your articles then get ranked higher. Your landing pages get ranked higher. And most importantly, if you've got sales pages, okay, your sales pages gets ranked higher. And that means if you've got a buy now button that nobody sees out there, your buy now button gets found. Because right now, you're in a sea of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of other websites with similar names, similar traffic, similar ideas. But now your buy button is going to rank higher than anything else out there, which means more sales, and you start beating your competition out. So one more example. I had a friend of mine, Lane. Okay, this guy went from absolutely zero. He started with absolutely nothing, just started his brand really just a few months ago. He went from zero to consulting fees of $25,000 as a result of my news articles, which was pretty good for him. He's like, wow, I charge a lot more for consulting fees. And as a bonus, he became an Amazon best-selling author. He was a #1 best-selling author, and he even beat out titles such as Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, who is a best-selling author, recognized as one of the top business books for 3 years. Another article we did was sort of fun to do. It was about female leadership. A client was doing a seminar on female leadership. So I didn't talk about her in the article. Okay, I talked about female leadership. I talked about the president nominating Penny Pritzker as a commerce secretary that week. It was a news story. I linked my client to the trending news. So my story was #2 on Google. Huffington Post was #6. Okay, so that shows you the power of being an actual journalist or reporter in the news. We can rank your story much higher than any other web property. In fact, we even beat out Forbes for my friend Robert Curry, who had a book published last year about small businesses becoming big ones. So when that news story came out, #1 on Google. And then take a look what's below that. Forbes, and this is all within, my article came out 15 hours when I took the screenshot. Forbes came out 55 minutes ago. It was basically a more current topic, more current story. My story still beat out Forbes, #1. They were #5. I was sort of proud of that. And of course, just, what was it, I think 2 weeks ago, Jim was really excited about what I was doing. He says, hey, can you do one for me? I said, sure. So we did a news story about entrepreneurship on a global scale, and about how the education of entrepreneurs in America was on the downslide. It was not going well. It was a news story. I didn't talk about Jim in your event in the article until like the bottom 2/3. I mentioned it as a venue for people. Once that news broke and got picked up, it didn't get shared 1,000 times, didn't get shared 2,000 times. We got 5,000 views in 48 hours for being in the news. So think about that. If even 1,000 shares, that was for a $97 product could make you 10 grand if you got a 10% conversion. But what if you had 5,000 shares? What if your product was not a $500 product, or what if it was a $1,000 product? And only 1% of people got this. Okay, you had 50 people at $1,000. Do the math on that. That'd be a $50,000 return on your cash day for you if you had that kind of conversion. So, oops, sorry. I've got a thing on there we go, on my website. All right, good enough. I'm going to share with you my strategies here. I'm going to show you how to position yourself as the expert, even if you're not one right now. I'm going to show you how to eliminate the overwhelm so you can get thousands to come your way. And this is really, in my opinion, the fastest way to get there shy of an expensive pay-per-click campaign. There's nothing faster in terms of getting found online. So why would this be important to you now? In my opinion, everyone's teaching the wrong stuff. Most marketing, branding advice is just dead wrong. True marketing is expensive. And it usually doesn't work right away. It's trial and error. I don't know what's going to work for you. I don't know what's going to work for, but we have to do a lot of, they call split testing. We'll test this ad. I know Jim spends hundreds and thousands of dollars split testing images and words to make sure his clients get found and get recognized. It doesn't come cheap. What I'm going to share with you is a brand new way that actually makes sense, because I've gotten consistent results for years doing this, as well as other media mavens. So here's what it worked. This is going to be for you on just a couple of conditions. If you're a recognized, or if you're professional and want to be recognized as a authentic authority or expert in your field, and if you want quick targeted traffic, if you want to be targeted, if you want to be ranked higher on Google, even on page 1, and if you want more revenue right away, this is going to be for you. All right. There's just a couple of quick rules for this. Number 1, this is not for the get rich quick crowd. All right. If you're into the get rich quick thing, then forget it. Not for fake experts. If you're not an authentic expert today, it doesn't matter. But if you lie, if you embellish, it doesn't work, because the world is very transparent nowadays. You can be a new expert, but you can't puff and tell something isn't true. Most people spend money, they spend big money, and they spend it in the wrong places online. They spend it for guys who are talking about marketing but don't really always do what they're teaching, right? I'm going to teach you what I actually do. So a big confession regarding that: I have an advantage over most people. See, I have experience in this industry. I have a professional team and a very strong network of influence, which if you qualify, you can actually borrow that, quite frankly. And here's a big thing to understand. On this webinar, I'm not going to be selling anything. You do not have to have a credit card handy or ready. There'll be nothing like that at all. I'm going to be talking to you and maybe schedule some interviews with people, but there's absolutely nothing to buy. Is that fair? Raise your hand if that's okay. All right, so that's the introduction. We're going to go through this pretty quickly, and I've been told to slow down, but I get excited when I talk about this. So just consider what this means to you, and when I talk about the examples and how this 3-step program works, I want you to insert yourself in there. So imagine this scenario. What if your article happened to be shared by hundreds of thousands of times on authority news sites? And what if you had 5,000 hits to your website and it converted 10% for only a $100 product? What would that mean to you? Easy math, guys. It'd mean about $50,000. Now, that might sound like a stretch to some people, but I'm going to share with you why it's absolutely not a stretch whatsoever. A few years ago, like most business owners, I was relatively unknown. I was slightly struggling. We did okay, but like a lot of people, there's a lot of competition, and it takes time to build a company up, right? Does that sound familiar? Well, using the 3-step system I'm about to share with you, my business exploded. I went from an average business guy to becoming the, I guess I'm going to call myself a B-lister nationwide, but I was an A-lister in Chicago. I became an ABC radio host, and using what I'm going to share with you, this 3-step method, as strange as it sounds, I even earned over $835,000 in a single day. All right, that was pretty crazy. So here's what this 3-step system did for me. What I did was I expanded my news-based marketing beyond that single article, that one that made me 32,000. I was really excited about that, but I didn't stop there. I'm like, wow, if I can do that with one article and make 32 grand, what could I do if I did more of it and spend some time and energy and really positioning this thing right? Well, the next year I had everything teed up, and I sold $3.2 million of real estate in about 2 hours. All right, this was for an event. I used the media to do this. I used what I'm going to share with you right now. Now, my profit that evening by selling 3.2 million, my profit was 835 grand. And that was pretty darn exciting for Doug. I mean, I'd never made that much in 5 years, let alone one night. So that was very, very exciting. And the big lesson here is, after we were done, we continued to create this cash generating target traffic over and over again. And I can do it for you too. But what got me there was quality news articles that were shared thousands of times. Key words here: quality and news. All right. It's got to be positioned right. It's got to have high quality, readable, and shareable content. All right. Those are key factors of it. And it has to be done with a proven formula. And that proven formula I'll share with you right now. It's how you're positioned online. Okay. It's all about positioning. It's not about doing a crappy little press release nobody reads. It's being talked about by credible, authoritative, and trusted resources who talk about you in the right way. Okay, so there's a 3-step formula for saying it right, and here it is. Ready? This is very, very simple. Number 1, you've got to follow the trending news. All right, the trending news. It can't be news about your company or your new widget. Unless you're Apple with the iPhone 7 launch, nobody cares about your stuff. Trending topics is important because what happens is people follow popular stories. They follow the Justin Bieber story. They follow Kim Kardashian. They follow things. They follow political events, right? Your audience is already following these events. They're talking about them, and they're distilling these events. They're looking at these events and going, wow, did you hear about this? And they usually hear about it from credible sources, all right? Following the news for people, you know, I don't watch the local news. I'm in the local news, and I help my people be in the local news, but most people follow the news. They don't do it. They do it for an escape, quite frankly. It's often just a simple way to escape their challenges of their everyday lives, right? They go, hey, you know, I'm going to go ahead and read about somebody else's tragedy so my life doesn't feel so bad. Or there's a good news story, but wow, that makes me feel good. But people gravitate to the news. Even folks who swear off TV and don't watch, they know what's going on because they see it on Facebook or they see it in news channels online. So here's the magic. Here's the magic, how it works. I'm going to share with you how to combine your expertise, what you do, what you're good at, with a trending news topic or an article. So why would you do that? Well, instead of trying to distract people from what they're already reading about, we're going to get in the way of where they're already looking. It's a really magical combination. I call it newsjacking. And the trick to it is to become aware of the trending stories people are already looking at, and then just inserting yourself in that stream. We're going to spin your content, not by being the lead of that story, but being the authentic commentator of that story. Okay? We're going to have your comments in the story, and then most importantly, relate it to them, relate it to the people who are searching in the news. Okay, so that's it. Step 1 is you have to follow and be aware of trending stories. Now the second step, step 2, very, very simple. You've got to create compelling opinion. I like making controversial statements about a trending topic and then relate it to the direct benefit that you can deliver. You see, people, you know, they talk more about the trending story, and then when you have your potential benefit to your reader, they're going to relate to that more so than your stuff. They're not going to say, you know, here's Joe Blow's new widget, but if there's a economic story out there and you give your opinion on that, like I did with my news story, my real estate news story, they value me as an expert because I gave my opinion. I didn't pitch my stuff. So your news story should be a direct opinion about that trending topic. And then don't talk about your stuff, but talk about their desired outcome. When you give thoughtful opinion on the news they're interested in, boom, it's a win. So you write an article, and the article is a teaser. That they'll demonstrate a beneficial payoff for the reader. Okay, that's step 2. So it's step 1 is follow trending topic. Step 2, provide thoughtful or controversial commentary. And then it's time for step 3. Simple. It needs to be shared. It can't be on a single news site. We're not going to just put you just in your local paper or just on somebody's Facebook wall. It's got to be shared by authority news sites. Those are the ones that are highly ranked on Google. They rank way above everybody else's stuff because Google loves stuff that's basically newsworthy and shareable, which really means other media is going to share it willingly. But I'm going to reiterate this powerful point because a lot of people miss this. I've had some people submit their stories and stuff to me, and I'm like, no, sorry, it's not about you, okay? It needs to be about basic psychology and human interests, okay? I'll give you some examples. Number 1, let's say it's a holiday coming up. Mother's Day is coming up in May, right? Or it could be a topic about perhaps a celebrity, right? How do you relate, you know, your topic to a celebrity? I'll share with you how to do that in a second. Or it could be about anything. It could be about sports. It could be about politics, a human interest story, or science, or even a disaster. Any news that can be linked to your business is what we focus on, is what we as journalists really want to, I just want to emphasize that to you. It's got to be a trending topic, right? Let me give you those examples right now. Let's say that you're a life coach and some celebrity gets arrested. I'm going to use an example here. It's not a real example. I'm going to make some up as I go here, okay? Let's say the example is, Justin Bieber gets arrested for something. Actually, maybe he did. I don't remember. But let's say he gets arrested for drunk driving, and that's a big news story. It's trending in the news. People are talking about it. There's a buzz about it. It's people are making jokes about it, etc. I would write a news story about celebrities getting arrested for drunk driving, and this is an example. And then I look for experts to comment on that. I might have a DUI expert. I might have a police officer, or I might use a life coach saying, hey, you know what? Had Justin come to me months ago, I probably could have helped him with his lifestyle or his inner psyche, whatever you do as a life coach, to get the guy on the right track. So your story comments on the arrest and suggests how your solution could have prevented it. You see how that works? You're not the lead story. Justin is. He's the one people are talking about. You are positioned as the expert in that. Let's take a more boring topic. Let's say it's Mother's Day, which Mother's Day is coming up. And let me give you a really, this is a really tough example because a lot of people can't really connect their product, their service to news. And this is one thing that I am, as modestly as I can put it, I'm really good at this. I'll give you a really tough example. Let's say that you sell energy efficient light bulbs, for example, and it's Mother's Day. Our typical PR agency or a guy who's doing this press release says, oh, well, let's say about, you light up the home for Mother's Day or something about, hey, Mother's Day, the perfect gift is some, eco-friendly light bulbs. I go, boring. Why not do something along the lines of finding a human interest story about a single mom who had her power shut off and struggling to make ends meet. And it's a real tearjerker. She's got 7 kids, and here's the story about this mom. And it's something that people go, oh my God, it's tragic, right? Then I position you in the lower 2/3 of the article as the hero. You come in there and say, you know what, this mom was struggling for months, and John Doe from ABC Electric came in there, paid her bill for a year, and gave her a lifetime supply of these energy efficient light bulbs. And you are the stinking hero for this whole thing. Now that's a news story. That is a feel-good news story. It starts off tragic because people love to, they love looking at car wrecks. They love looking at people, people's tragedies. But I never end on that. We always finish with a happy ending, okay? Hey, it's a good ending. We saved the day by having your, eco-friendly light bulb saving the day here. Okay, so that's how we would take something as mundane as a holiday and spend something as boring as a commodity into a soft news, tragedy to triumph news story, okay? Or let's say there's a government scandal. And maybe, there's a lot of stuff that politics and government is very big trending topics. Those are really popular to share. And we would talk about that topic from a news perspective. But then we might say, you know what, your product, let's say, a scandal at the Veterans Administration, right? The VA had some scandals in the United States recently. So there's a scandal there. And we talk about that news scandal. And you say, we'd have maybe one political commentary, but the second opinion would be by this company who decided to do something about it. I can't change the government, but I can do something for the vets. So we're donating 10% of our profits to a charity. And I actually did this for a fiction book last month. One of my clients wrote a fiction book. And her book, a fiction book is hard because there's not really news when you're talking about a fictional book. So we took her theme of the book, which happened to be about suicide. Not a very cheery topic, but we decided to do a campaign where we were going to donate, not 10%, but we donated 100% of the proceeds of her bestseller launch to National Suicide Prevention. And because of this news that we got shared, it was sharing is really caring. And because it was shared in the news, she became an Amazon bestseller in a fiction category, which any of you who know that how tough that is, it was extremely difficult. So here's how that looks from the operational standpoint. You are gonna get your message out there, and you might, sharing is caring, but the news works better. Here's an example. According to this, the Business Times, look at this first column. The average amount of times people spend on Facebook per search, not per day, because people spend about an hour a day on Facebook. But when they search for one thing on there, the average time spent is 1 minute, 41 seconds. Google, 1 minute, 42 seconds. But when they go to a news site, the average time per visit, 4 minutes, 36 seconds. People spend 4 more times on news sites than on organic search or social media. Okay. See, when your newsworthy story is shared by others, it becomes part of the news stream. It's very, very powerful. Now, the news stream is something that's sort of, here's the tough part, okay? Because your story must be shared in these exclusive network. You may be posting content or blog posts right now, but it's not news, guys. I mean, is your content being shared by the BBC, CNN, Fox, or even your local news organizations? Our stories always are. Here's one we did for a solar company. And our example here was we exposed a utility company that was basically screwing the consumers by doing some dirty tactics, and they're doing some lobbying things. So our story got shared over 800 times on Newswire. It got shared over 79 times on Reddit. And they got over 1,700 hits to their landing page in 48 hours because of our headline. Our headline was utility companies' dirty tactics were exposed in an attempt to block residential solar. This was hard news. And the link, the expert on this news topic was our client, who was basically a solar installer. Here's one I'm pretty proud of too. Ali Fedotowsky, who's an e-news host. She was on, I think, a Bachelorette or some reality show. Our news story about a woman who did her facial, basically, got over 2,500 views in 24 hours, over 300 referral shares from Google alone. And what this means to you is that no matter what the topic, no matter what you're doing, when we can position it in the news, we can get you a heap ton of traffic. And I want to be really clear about one thing. A lot of people talk about press releases. You may be familiar with, I don't know, PR Web, e-releases, PR Newswire. These are fine, but I don't do press releases. These guys are actually trending down. The 6-month trend on press releases is all negative. When it's a news channel, our trending is, we've trended up 16% in the past 6 months. See, Google rewards news agencies who create quality news content. That's recognized by media giants. And it's critical to get these things on your page, on your news flow. And it would be pretty cool to have these logos on your website. It's gonna be even cooler to have links from these folks on your website. So let me wrap this up for you. I've shared with you the entire strategy that's earned me millions, and you can do this all for yourself. And you can try to hire a professional journalist. You can try and get authority news sites to pick up your article and beg them to share it. But, most of you don't have this network. And there's an old adage you've heard before. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's even more critical when it comes to this type of marketing. News writing and the exclusive network is what makes this whole thing work. So I'm pretty unique. I can actually guarantee results. I can get clients thousands of high quality target hits to anything online. We can spin it and put it in that news stream. And I call it authority fusion, because what we do is we get your story told. Your news article is professionally written, and we have an agreement with Google News, so it's actually guaranteed to be posted in Google News, and then it's picked up by major media outlets. And your news story will be picked up by all of these channels because we're publishing actual news story. And for example, I mean, even it doesn't matter if it's the search engines, okay? It can be, obviously, we link it to them. Major newspapers, news sites, Travel Weekly, Money Show, Illinois. It's also done regionally, right? It can be done in Atlanta, it can be done in Australia, it can be done in anywhere in the world. We have links and connections with all of these organizations. Even TV and radio sites all have properties that need news stories. They don't need press releases, they need news stories. So getting on Fox News, getting on ABC, CBS, NBC, these are all channels that we have exclusive syndication agreements with, that when we do our news stories and position you as the expert in these channels, these will be sites, even local ones, that your story will be published in. Okay, and this is just part of our list. So there's so many here, I can't give them all to you, but this is an example of what you'll have on your website, and your links will all be backlinked and connected to those news channels. And it also goes into industry news sites, whether you're in the health and fitness field, financial markets, doesn't really matter. Internationally, we're in dozens and dozens of different channels overseas. And of course, the typical RSS feeds are also done as well. So there's a lot there, guys. I'm almost going to wrap this up. We're going to keep this right in about an hour or so. Ranking above other stories is the trick here. And what happens with that is then you get found, all right? We'll get you higher search engine rankings, like in Jim's case on the event that he did. I mean, 24 hours after publishing a story, over 1,300 views on one news channel alone. We have 5,000 hits to his web property. And what this means to you are four basic things. It means more prospects for you, more opt-ins, more leads, more buyers, and that will relate to more money. So the bottom line is I am definitely hired by a lot of people, a lot of the top marketers do the same thing for them. And you have a chance to benefit the way they do. And it gets even better. Watch closely what I'm going to share with you here. Because after the stuff gets published, your website's going to change. Here's some examples of people that some attorneys, for example. Here's a guy, here's his picture, his profile picture, might be on his website. So what image do you see here that instantly gives you a little bit different feeling? This image or that one? Here's a good looking guy. Here I am. This is me, it's his LinkedIn photo. Here's his new one. Looks a little different, doesn't it? Or this gal, you're not pleasant. Okay, hi, here I am, realtor, boom. Now she's featured on Morningstar, Yahoo Finance, Miami Herald, Fox News. Or this guy, all right? Decent picture, but now he's featured in nationally recognized news channels, all right? This is what you should be looking like online. You have to be credible. You can be attractive like this gal, but you can be much more attractive to your clients with some different logos on there. So here's another example of some friends of mine. Which stands out more? My buddy Jonathan Asley, dating coach. All right, there's his profile before he was in the media. This is his banner now, as seen on ABC, NBC, Dating Without Drama, eHarmony, etc. Who's talking about you? My friend Bart Baggett has a best-selling book. You know, sharp guy. But once he's talked about on Larry King or Today Show or Howard Stern Show or America's Most Wanted, his credibility went through the roof. Another good friend of mine, Sherry, Dr. Sherry Myers, great website, sharp lady. Look at all that. She got the whole thing. Red dress, red font, looks very professional, right? But when she added these media logos to her site, her credibility went through the roof. So if you want to place these logos on your website in the next 48 hours, that can happen for you. It takes a little bit of positioning. It takes some journalism. It takes some work, and it can be done for you in the next few hours. It just takes, a conversation. Quickly, how many of you would like to have this 3-step proven system actually not just taught to you, but actually done for you? And this is the no sales part, right? This is very, very simple. All you got to do to find out how this would work for you is step 1, click on this link, authorityfusion.com/strategy. Step 2, schedule a call with me. And step 3, fill out a form. That's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule about a 45 to 60-minute one-on-one consultation, and then we'll find out if this could be a good fit for you. It's a conversation. The first 44 minutes is all about you, your story, and how this may or may not work for you. If there is a fit, then we can talk about, doing a business relationship. But the first 44 minutes, I'm going to give you everything I discussed here and a whole lot more. Okay, we'll determine if there's a fit or not, and then if it is, we can write, publish, and professionally share your article to over 100 recognized media giants, getting you thousands of clicks. And the good thing about this is there's absolutely zero risk. Your story is published in the Google News, all those other channels. It's guaranteed. Now, what I'm going to offer you guys tonight here in the last few minutes, we're going to keep this right under an hour, is like I said, no sales. I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to get to know you. And I'm going to give you one extra, or actually I'll give you a couple different incentives to invest some time with me, all right? The first thing to understand is that if you want to be in the media, you've got to know how to speak. You've got to know how to be a good guest. And I've been on both sides of the microphone as a host and as a guest. And I've got some insight to that. So I'm going to give, just for scheduling the interview with me, you don't have to actually qualify to get this. Just schedule the time and I'll send this to you. It's a book and a video series I created, 21 best practices to be interviewed and published more often. So before you do any interview, this is an absolute must to learn how to engage your audience and let radio hosts, TV hosts, journalists know that you know how to speak and how to act and how to position yourself. And you might ask yourself a question, hey, Doug, that sounds great. Thanks for the media training. Who's the media? How do I get a hold of them? One more bonus that I'm only going to offer probably for another week or so. Then I'm going to pull this because this can get a little crazy. But I've got a database. I've got a database of over 700 media contacts. These are the names, emails, locations, and telephone numbers of 700 plus radio producers around the world. And I'm going to give that to you just for scheduling a call with me. The second to last bonus is a program I created called Become the Authority. It's basically a series of checklists and a blueprint and 3 video tutorials to help anybody build a fan base, build a group of followers, fans, and people to help you sell a product before it's created. It's so I reverse engineer some things, but I do things backwards a lot of times. I'm a contrarian marketer. And I do it for a lot of authors who want to actually build their database, build their readership, and the readers help them create the product, and then they buy it. It's sort of a slick system, but it's a $1,000 program I created, and I'd like to offer it to you guys at no cost. Just schedule the interview with me, and it's all yours. And then the big one here for a lot of you folks might be this one. I'm doing a story on entrepreneurship for CNN, and I need 6 people to be case studies for this story. And they can be tragedy to triumph stories. They can be success stories. I'm not really sure yet. There's no guarantee you'll be in this report, but there's if you qualify, we'll go through it and talk to you about that on our private one-on-one consultation. So in a nutshell, qualified applicants are going to get, number 1, that strategy session with me. I'm going to give you an hour of my time where you can ask and we can collaborate and talk about anything you want marketing-wise, especially when it pertains to the media. I'm going to give you that checklist, that blueprint on how to be a good guest. I will give you my media list of 500 plus radio producers. I'll give you that Become the Authority system, and I will give you a potential interview on ICNN, which is priceless. So Jim, total value and all this stuff for all your people on this call is $2,500, and your fee for that, folks, is the big fat $0. There's absolutely no cost to this. It's pretty much a phone call. We have a conversation. If you like it, cool. If you don't, that's all right too. So the qualifications are pretty simple. It's easy. You fill out a survey by clicking on this. That's it. Now, obviously, there's limits to this, right? I have only so many hours in the day, and I actually have a business that I'm running. And so I'm going to open up basically 10 slots, Jim, for this. I'm going to have 10 spots where people can schedule a time with me. And once those 10 slots are filled, I really don't have time. I'm working with a bunch of people from last week's webinar still, and I'm going to open up 10 more right now, and that'll be it. And that's what I like to offer you guys, and I'm right at 8:58, so I'm open for Q&A.
Wow, Doug, that was really, really good. I mean, every time you do another presentation, I learn even more. Guys, let me tell you something. When it comes to getting your website seen by all of these news sites, these are credible backlinks back to your website, and it's increasing ranking over and over and over again by getting this news out there. And Doug is the absolute expert in this space. I've known no one else to be able to do it the way Doug does. Doug, here are a couple questions. This is really free, right? People just have to go register for a strategy call, and it's free.
It's totally free, and just to be really clear about this, you know, I love doing what I do. I love doing news stories. So I enjoy talking to people. Some of them may become clients, some of them won't. It really doesn't matter to me because I really enjoy networking and sharing with people. So I don't know if you're a good fit or not. You might not qualify, but that doesn't matter to me. I just love sharing. So I'm going to dedicate 10 hours of my week to get to know some of your people. It's just as simple as that. I'm not going to charge for that.
Got it, but it is free. There is no, it's not like you have to pay to meet you. It's absolutely free, guys. So just go to authorityfusion.com/strategy and take advantage of this. There are only a couple spots left. I've already seen that some have already gone through. So the forms are being sent. I can see them. But Doug, okay, so once someone, like when I went through the process with you to actually have the news go out, once someone goes through, they have an interview with you. Sometimes it's even video too. It depends on what it is and what you're trying to accomplish. And frankly, how much, there are different costs, right? There are different prices when it comes to getting out video versus getting out news that's written, correct?
Yes. When I had my PR agency years ago, when I did this, these guys charge $5,000 to $10,000 a month. This is not even close to that. So if you're worried about, oh, I don't want to call you because no, it's so ridiculously inexpensive. I'm afraid to share with it. I'm probably not going to, because I pretty much customize it to my client based on their story, based on their resources, right, based on what they can do and what's really right for them. Because not everybody needs a lot of exposure. You might just need a couple of news articles. You might not need the video. You might not need to be shared, internationally. Maybe you just want to do a local one. So I'm going to customize it for my clients. And it's all I can tell you from based on doing journalism and doing PR, it's ridiculously inexpensive. And the most important thing is that I don't even talk about that in the first 44 minutes. I only focus on getting to know you, your story, your company. And then at minute 45, we can say, hey, do you want to talk about, working together business-wise, yes or no? If it's no, we'll talk later. Friend me on Facebook. If it's yes, then we can customize something for you.
Great. Okay, good. So here's a question here that I see. Is there any profession that is better than another?
For news, you mean a profession that's more
newsworthy? Yep.
No, there's not. And this is the big. I wish someone else could talk about this, because I hate talking about myself. But I will guarantee you, there's not many people out there that can do what I do, which is to take the most seemingly boring and mundane company, like a guy that sells light bulbs, and making him the absolute hero in the news. So it doesn't matter. Life coach, entrepreneur, author, it does not matter what. I took a fiction book and turned it into a news story. All right. So there's no one better than the other. I'll be able to take anything anybody does, and it takes work, right? It's not done instantly. It might take us a few hours or a week to figure it out, but we will position you as a expert, or somebody that's going to be like, wow, I want to know that person. I want to get to know that company. We'll get their product.
Right. You'll get it figured out, won't you?
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about, right? Okay, yep. So there's something I'm gonna there's a gentleman that I met, Doug, that you worked with, that was in the real estate business, and he was having trouble selling a house.
Yeah, great story.
Can you share with me this story? Because let me tell you something, or share with everyone this story, because here's it doesn't matter what your business is, but real estate is especially difficult in order to be found and have a house sold, right? But anyway, can you go into this in more depth?
Yeah. This is another journalist friend of mine. So this is not my story, but he's a good friend of mine. He was on the call last week. He might be on tonight. So if you're on there, Mike, thank you very much for sharing the story. He's a journalist like me. He does news. He doesn't do press releases. He actually talks about trending topics. But one of his clients came to him and said, I want to sell a house. Now, a typical person would say, well, we got to talk about how great the house is and the show and tell. And this was a house in the middle of Ohio in the United States. And it was in a, not an affluent area. And Mike was like, okay, let me help you with this. So what Mike did was he went and looked up what was trending in this area. And he found a government program that had some incentives, but the statistics that program provided was newsworthy. And the statistics were this. This is how the article went. Housing prices appreciate at different rates according to blah, blah, blah. And if your house is priced at $110,000 and lower, only appreciating at 3% annually, according to this Ohio Bureau of et cetera. But houses in the $200,000 or higher range are appreciating at 8% or more. Houses like this one. And then he put a picture of that house, this client's house, in the news story. So it was a news about appreciation rates in the middle of Ohio. He used his client's house as an example, showed the picture, and gave an address. That's it. House sat for 6 months with no sales, no increase for 6 months prior to this news story. When the news story ran, it sold within 1 week for $35,000 over asking price. Not because it talked about the house.
It's like creating like demand, right?
Oh yeah.
Is that what it is?
It's positioning your topic, your company, your product, your service as the real authority, as real credibility. And it's sometimes very, very subtle. So you got to be aware of that. It's not a pitch. It never is. It's a story. And that's what people are already looking at. So get in the way of where they're already looking. That's the biggest thing you can take away. If you want to write down one thing, write down this: stop marketing and start being a good storyteller.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, I look at that and I go, okay, so if I can get 5,000 hits to my website for what I'm doing, what would 5,000 hits to someone else's website do for them, whether it's real estate or whether it's selling a vitamin or whatever it might be, right? Because it's all relevant to people that are targeted that are reading that article.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing, and people sometimes it almost blows your mind, but with 1,000 links from news stories back to your site, I'm no SEO expert, but I know that means something. Okay, so after you do one, a lot of people want to keep doing it because they're like, hey, this thing worked. I want to keep doing it. Those links out, unlike when I was in the radio, with the radio, you know, after the broadcast is over, there's nothing else there. It's gone. But with a digital link on the internet, your 1,000 links every month can turn into 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. After 3 months of this, if you keep doing it, you could have 10 or 20,000 backlinks back to your website. That's digital real estate that stays out there. It's from news sites. Now, you're more of an SEO expert than I, Jim, but what does that mean? Does that mean something?
Well, here's the thing. SEO is changing, as you know. Google is changing their algorithms, and what I'm finding is that news is going to the top, and websites are going below news. So the idea here is that the more times you can be in the news, the more you're going to be found, right? That's what it comes down to. Here's another question right here. So will we know where we're actually going to be published?
Absolutely. We give you, I want to do two things for people. Once they work with me, they not only get what's called a clipping report, which shows every single link out there, but I would highly encourage you, or actually help you do it, is to put those links on your website under your news feed or in your, your company in the news. Once those links are on there on your website, you've got all these authority backlinks that are bona fide news organizations connected to you. So yeah, you'll get an actual detailed report. And I gotta tell you, I'm under promising here. That's actually more than 100 news channels. There's hundreds of them, but I guarantee over 100. I guarantee Google News for sure.
Well, here's the other thing is if you have Google Analytics on your website, you're going to see where everybody's coming from anyway and where they're hitting, right? So you're going to see where they're coming from. Here's another question here. Is this all just online, or can you also get live radio, TV interviews?
We can. That's basically something that we have during a conversation, but we always start online because getting on the radio and TV, they never put new people on. That's why the media training we provide is very, very critical. They've got a lot of choices of experts out there. So if I'm a producer at your local radio station, I already have an associate producer that's looking for experts. Where do you think they find those people? Yeah, that's right. Nobody knows, them? Right? Yeah. I know where they find them. So I will help you do that. And it's really super critical to have relationship with those guys and to know what they're looking for and when they're looking for them. So there's a little bit of a magic there. Once you hear how it's done, it's sometimes it's just good old-fashioned work, but basically it's a step 2 in this process. The first step is to get you recognized online, established online, so that when you go to phase 2 and want to be, on the radio and TV and all that, you've got to have some credentials to back that up. So we'll talk about the proper way to do a press kit, the proper way to contact the media.
Well, here's the other thing, Doug, that I found is that normally news is pretty dry and uninteresting. It's just the way it's written. But the way you write these articles, they're not really news. It's a story. And this is completely different than what other people are doing. And this is what's getting the attention because it's written in a way that viewers' attention. And this is why it gets shared by other news websites as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you, in Ali Fedorowski's case is one of my favorite ones because Ali, she's a host on E! News. I mean, she's an actual A-lister celebrity. And our story was about her esthetician who did a 24-karat gold treatment on her face, right? But she did it on Ali. Our news article ranked higher than Ali's own Facebook page. Okay, so that was pretty powerful stuff. And it really helped the esthetician. She got, her bookings went overboard with that. So it made a difference in her business, and it did it within 48 hours.
It's just amazing where we can get this traffic. And again, this is why I invited all you to this webinar, is because actually this is getting highly targeted traffic to your website or anywhere else online, or it could even be a local business by that matter as well, but it's about getting the traffic. And if anybody out there is wanting more targeted traffic, this is absolutely the way to go. Sign up at authorityfusion.com/strategy. Right now, it looks like there are only 2 spots left, Doug, for this one. So, we're only going to be on for another couple minutes and then it's over with, but get in there now so that you can take advantage of it. And gosh, do you have anything else to add?
No, I just saw that. You're right. There's only 2 left. I'm looking at my email here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I got 2 spots. That'll be good for the week. I'll do the 10 interviews. I'm looking forward to talking to some of your folks, and the CNN thing is pretty exciting. I apologize for that. There's only really 5 slots in a CNN because Jim's one of the people. So,
well, thank you very much for that. But anyway, so guys, look, this is your chance. Take advantage of this. All it is we're talking about a Skype conversation for just 44 minutes, and then it's a matter of if there's a fit to see if there's something worth going further. This is absolutely free, guys. Got to take advantage of it right now. There are 2 spots left. Do it now while we're still on, because it's going to be gone, and who knows when we'll be doing another webinar like this, right, Doug? Yeah,
I don't have anything booked yet because I'm getting pretty busy, and that's the one downside of my business is that I can't really scale it. It's like I write the news stories, right, and I've got to make sure that they're quality, because with CNN and Google News, we are vetted, so we can't submit garbage. It's got to be an actual news story, and that's why the relationship is really critical to make sure that your stuff is you're positioned properly. It's a really big part of it. So, yeah, I'm excited to do it. I love. You can tell my voice. I love stories, and I love putting people where they need to be, because it's a very competitive field out there. So
awesome. It looks like there's 1 spot left at this point. Guys, really, this is the chance to do it. Don't miss it. 1 spot left, and so this will probably be another couple minutes, and that's the way we go, right? Anything else to add, Doug?
No, I'm going to be talking with AZ Jackson, Doyle, who else? Barry, who else we have here? Gabriella, and Gary, another Gary, and Kevin, and Xavier. Okay, well, you know what? I look forward to talking to you guys. It'll be great. So we got 1 spot left for the week, and go to authorityfusion.com/strategy, and let's get you in the news and get you noticed and get you a bunch of traffic and get your business where you want it to go. I'm ready to do it.
Awesome. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for being on the webinar. I appreciate you taking some of your time out of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are around the world, because I do see you. There's people from all over the planet here. Doug, again, thank you for your time. I'm learning more from you every single time we do these. Thank you so much. And guys, it looks like we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you all real soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.